So guys, today I'm going to show you how to make a beautiful Japanese fountain like this. It's really simple and it's only got a few parts to it. It's just a little bit of work, but I think you'll get a lot of enjoyment out of it. It's unlike the Shishi Odori, which is a Japanese deer scare where the bamboo comes down and hits that over and over and it makes a loud noise on hitting either a rock or another piece of bamboo, and that's supposed to scare wildlife away from your fountain. But this is more of a meditation fountain, just something relaxing to have close to a sitting area, and you can just enjoy the sound of running water over and over. So guys, I've taken my post hole diggers and I've dug a hole out perfectly round and about 2 to 2.5 feet deep. And of course, that's based on the size of the water basin you use. Now, speaking of water basins, if you purchase a water basin specifically made for a fountain or a waterfall-less fountain, you're going to pay double or triple what I did. I wouldn't purchase one of those because the price is just too high, and some of them are not really that well made. But I did find an alternative that's extremely well made. You can actually stand on it and it will last for many, many decades. So what I'm using where our bamboo is going to spill into is just a typical flower pot. I purchased this at Lowe's and it has the appearance of concrete, but one thing about it is not frost proof. So if it's a very hard freeze, it could potentially crack it. There's no hole in the bottom. So when winter comes, I'm going to drain it and flip it upside down until the following spring. But if you want one that you can run year round, you need to find one that's made out of concrete or hyper tufa, which is a homemade concrete and peat moss mixture, and you can make your own. But temporarily, I have this one in use, and I've enjoyed it all summer. So I will say that this is the second one I've put together, and it's held up. The first one held up very good. So if you want to make one out of this type of pot, just remember that it's got to be frost proof or freeze proof, printed somewhere on the label, because if it's not, you may have a cracked pot somewhere in the winter. Now, a lot of people are going to say they don't have access to bamboo, but if you go to the big box store and look for tiki torches, there'll be tiki torches made from bamboo. The smaller piece of bamboo you can cut usually as a trellis, something that you tie tomatoes to, and you can find a small piece of bamboo in that area. So the large bamboo is a tiki torch, and the small one was in the area where you get tomato trellises, and it's just a smaller diameter bamboo. Now, the way I keep my bamboo standing upright and the fountain not falling over is to put a metal rod in the ground. This is about a 3 feet piece of rebar, and you find this in the concrete section. You can hammer it in place, and it's very sturdy, and it'll keep the bamboo from falling over if something bumps into it, or if it's the temperature change in the ground and it freezes, it might push it over. So this little metal rebar will keep it in place, and I don't have to worry about putting the bamboo in the ground where it might rot in the base of it. Now, this is my fountain reservoir, and it's quite large. It holds probably, I think it holds over 10 gallons of water in there, because it took 2 5-gallon buckets to empty my other fountain. But anyways, this is extremely heavy plastic. It's extremely well made. I think it would last for decades. This is so well made you could actually walk on it. That's how strong this part is. The bottom part is a square reservoir with a round tub, and it will also last for decades. This is made for drainage systems. It's not made for fountain reservoirs, but it will hold water. There's no holes in it. You can drill holes in it if you were installing a drainage system around your house, but this was about 1/3 the price of some of the reservoirs I looked at, a little bit over $100 at the time I purchased it. The fountain reservoirs that I looked at that were this size were $250 to $350 plus shipping. So guys, what I'm going to do is I'm going to put in a small hole close to the top and also on the inside lip, so that way I can set it in there and it won't pinch the hose that's coming out. So I'm just going to do that first. Hopefully this won't drown me out too much. Okay, a little messy there, but that's where our pipe's going to come out and go into our bamboo, so that way we don't have to worry it being pinched at the top. Once we put our top on there, I'm going to drill a hole in this one as well, and that should match up. So we want to make sure that we're going in at just the right point. And that way we can take that off. I hope you can see this. And that way our pipe coming out of our reservoir will go directly back into our bamboo post. Okay, I've added a little bit of gravel to raise it up because I dug it a little bit lower than I wanted to, but also we're going to need to use a level to make sure that our water basin is perfectly level. We won't have water spilling out that doesn't need to be. I'm just going to set that in there, remembering that our exit hole is close to one side here, and then that will go directly to our bamboo. Now I'm going to take my level and just take level measurements from different angles and make sure that our water basin is level as it can be. It's not perfectly level, but it's so close, it's within millimeters or 1/16 of an inch to be perfectly level, so that way the water level won't be rushing out one side. I did do an exit on this side so the water can leak out a little bit better, so that will help if it starts to overfill. But also, you'll notice that it's about an inch above ground level because I'm going to fill that area in with gravel. I don't want soil washing in there, which could also cause the pump to clog. So just remember, you want it slightly above ground level and then bring in some gravel so that nothing can get washed in there. Now next, we're going to put our top on our reservoir, and this top is so well made that a person can even stand on it. It will not collapse. It's extremely thick plastic and it will last for decades. So I'm lining up the holes so our pump exit that goes to our bamboo post can come out easily. And again, we're going to backfill this with gravel all the way around. We don't have to worry about dirt getting in there. So it's at the perfect height, perfectly level, and it's ready to go to the next step. Now next, I've taken some window screen and I'm going to double layer this. I've got one that fits very closely to the size of the actual top, but then I'm going to come in with a second layer and put it more broadly on there, so we have 2 layers of window screen, and that way it will cut down on any chance of anything getting into our system other than the water that's circulating throughout our pump, reservoir, and bamboo drip fountain. Now the next thing I've done, I've taken our small pump and I've glued our pipe in there, our flexible pipe, because it wasn't a perfect fit. So I glued that, it's in place. And also, I'm going to just set the bamboo on here. I'm going to do a test run before I cover everything up. Even before I bring the pot in, I'm going to drop the pump down into the reservoir, fill it about halfway, and just do a test to make sure everything's working before I put everything together and discover there's an issue. Okay, I'm going to try to snake our pump into our water reservoir without disturbing everything too awful much. And that way, we can run our water test. Just going to drop that in there. I want to make sure it gets as close to the bottom as possible. It doesn't necessarily have to sit on the bottom, but we just want the pump to be well submerged in the water. Make sure our cap's on. There's no pinching of this pipe here because we put this exit hole in there. I'm going to run more pipe in there. Set our bamboo on top of our piece of pipe. Put our screen back in place. Our power cord is going to come around the edge of it like that. So I'm going to put that under there. And so we're very close to running our test. Now I've taken the screen off just so I can see exactly what's happening. It's working perfectly. The power cord, I'm going to readjust that because it needs to come out the opposite side. It's a little bit stretched. But another thing I haven't mentioned is you're going to need to put this on a timer. A timer is going to save you about 12 hours of electricity. Even though this pump uses almost no electricity, it might extend the life of the pump. So remember to put this on an outdoor timer only, where it cuts on at daylight and cuts off at sunset, where it's not running in the dark hours where nobody can even see it. All right, so I'm going to put our screen back in place really carefully. And I've cut this to exact size, kind of molded it around there. Second, I'm going to put our second layer of screen on here and just kind of stretch that out around the edges, fold it where it needs to be folded. And I'm going to come back in with a lot of river stone or small pebbles, and that will really cut down on any issues with anything making it into the pump, making it to the pump, where the pump gets clogged and it will not pump properly. So you're going to have a lot better experience is if you don't allow anything larger than a sand particle to get to your pump, because that's just going to stop it up and slow down the action of the pump. Now we're going to reinstall our pot and refill everything and test everything in one more time. All right, I'm going to carefully set our pot back in the center, and you want to make sure that it's not too close to any side because it might spill back into the soil, which will cause a problem in your pump, will drain all the water out. So just make sure that this is properly centered, check it all the way around, and then you can refill your pot and run another test. All right, I'm going to refill our pot now, and we'll run our last test. All right, let's plug our power back in and check our water flow. Now what I'm going to do is I'm going to go around the outer edges of the screen and put in some of this river stone so it's pushing down, and make sure that it doesn't come up when I'm adding the final bit of river stone. So I'm just going to go completely around the perimeter and do that. This river stone right here will be very clean, and I'll make sure there's no dirt on it. The river stone going around the edges has a little bit of dirt mixed in with it, so we just want to make sure that we don't accidentally get dirty river stone, which will put mud into the water and it will eventually cause a problem with our pump. Okay, I'm going to do the shower feature of my hose end here just to kind of clean up the gravel and wash the dirt away from the reservoir. I want to keep that out of there. Now another thing is I want to see the water cascading from the side that's most visible. So I'm going to take part of a pool noodle and I'm going to wedge it under the opposite side of the pot, so there'll be just a little bit of lean that way. This is fairly level, but there's probably a couple of millimeters that's allowing it to flow over the back side. I want it flowing over the front side where anyone who walks into my gate will see the water cascading over the side, hear the sound, and see it. So it's pretty simple. We're just going to lean it forward just a little bit. I'm going to wedge that under, and we're going to let it start to refill and make sure it cascades off of what we consider the front side of our pot. Now, all the water is now cascading off of what I want to call the front. The back is dry, and it's just probably just a few millimeters of height on this side as opposed to this side, and this is the side that we're getting our water flow, and that makes it a little bit more interesting to see as you walk into the Japanese garden. So guys, I've taken some river stone and I've carefully washed it again because I want to make sure we minimize any soil or anything that falls through our double screen into the reservoir. So I've washed this 2 times, and now I'm going to add it to the base of our catch-all. Hey guys, so that is the completed fountain. I hope you enjoyed seeing it put together. It's super simple to do, and I hope you'll consider making one for yourself. They're no trouble at all once you get it set up, and if you put the filtration in right, you won't have to worry about any debris getting into your pump. So it's really easy. If I left something out or there's something you want to add, please leave it in the comments down below. If you enjoyed the video, I hope you'll like and subscribe. Have a great day, guys.